Diabetes, it's very simple, so don't worry about it. You can immediately see the appeal, right? I mean, if you're struggling with a chronic condition like that, hearing a doctor say it's very simple must sound like a massive relief. Her whole message is built on this idea of empowerment through simple, natural solutions, and you can see why that's such a powerful draw for so many people.
All right, so here's how we're going to break this all down. First, we're going to look at Dr. Farah's general health advice, the stuff that built her audience. Then, we'll zoom in on the specific products and the claims that really got her on the FDA's radar. After that, we'll unpack the actual warning letter from the FDA, which gets us to this really critical legal line between a supplement and a drug. And finally, we'll pull back and figure out, okay, what does this all mean for you?
Okay, let's start at the beginning. What was the advice that got her such a huge online following in the first place? Well, as a medical doctor, Dr. Farah really focuses on managing common conditions like diabetes and hypertension with lifestyle changes and natural remedies. We're talking about things you might literally find in your kitchen or your backyard garden. So take diabetes, for example. She calls it a lifestyle disease. Her advice is a mix of things you've probably heard before and some more specific stuff. You've got the basics, like exercise is super important, but then she also recommends things like apple cider vinegar, certain minerals like chromium, magnesium, and zinc, and even plants like insulin plant. It's an approach that feels really accessible, kind of natural, but with a bit of science mixed in. And it's pretty much the same story for hypertension or high blood pressure. Again, the foundation is all about changing your lifestyle, but then she adds in things like herbal remedies, garlic, ginger, lemongrass tea, and eating foods that are rich in magnesium. The core message is always the same. Nature has the answers for these really common but also really serious health problems.
Okay, but this whole thing isn't just about giving out free advice online. And this is where the story takes a turn and gets way more complicated. See, Dr. Farah's company also sells its own line of supplements. And the very specific, very bold claims made about these products, well, that's exactly what put her and her company directly in the FDA's crosshairs.
Let's look at the first product, Boston C. The claims here, and remember, these were all documented by the FDA, are, well, they're not subtle. It's called the cornerstone of her treatment protocols for 150,000 patients. And the language gets really intense, claiming it's highly effective against numerous cancer cell lines and has anti-cancer properties. I mean, wow, those are some incredibly bold statements to make.
And it doesn't stop there. Next up is her Megadose Vitamin C. The list of things this is supposed to do is just staggering. It's marketed as having anti-cancer effects, reducing the risk of Alzheimer's, protecting you from strokes, being great for diabetics, you name it. We're not just talking about supporting general wellness here. This is being sold as a powerful weapon against some of the scariest diseases out there. And finally, there's a product called Pixie Dust Magnesium. And you guessed it, the claims are just as sweeping. It's supposed to reduce the need for many prescription drugs, have a cytotoxic effect, meaning it kills breast cancer cells, and can even treat migraines. So are you seeing the pattern? These aren't just vague suggestions for feeling a bit better. These are very specific promises to treat, prevent, or even cure serious medical conditions.
And it was exactly those kinds of specific, powerful claims that finally got the government's attention. The U.S. Food and Drug Administration, the FDA, started reviewing Dr. Farah's websites, and that review, well, it led directly to some pretty serious formal action. And things moved really fast. The FDA reviewed her websites in the first few months of 2021, and by April 21st, boom, they issued a formal warning letter. Dr. Farah's company was given just 15 working days to respond and explain exactly how they were going to correct these issues. That's a tight deadline. And this one sentence from that letter really cuts to the heart of the entire issue. The FDA said, "The claims on your websites establish that the products are drugs." Their argument was actually pretty simple. Because of the way you are marketing these products, they don't legally count as supplements anymore. In the eyes of federal law, you are selling them as drugs. So let's see how that actually works. When you make a claim that your product, Boston C, is highly effective against numerous cancer cell lines, that's not just marketing fluff. Legally, the FDA says that language shows your intent is for the product to be used to cure, mitigate, treatment, or prevention of a disease. And that intent, that's the legal tripwire. That's what separates a food supplement from a drug.
So let's dive a little deeper into that legal distinction, because it is literally the foundation for the FDA's entire case. And it all boils down to one thing: how a product is advertised to you and me.
So what does the FDA consider a new drug? This is so important. It has nothing to do with what the product is made of. It's all about the marketing. If you sell a product and claim it can cure, treat, or prevent a disease, but it hasn't gone through the years of rigorous testing to be recognized by experts as safe and effective for that, then congratulations. You've just created what the law calls a new drug.
You can really see the FDA's logic laid out here. It's like a chain reaction, a set of dominoes. Step 1, you make a claim to treat a disease like cancer. Domino 2, that legally reclassifies your product as a drug. Domino 3, all new drugs have to get FDA approval. Domino 4, your products don't have that approval. And the final domino falls, therefore you are selling unapproved new drugs, and you've also misbranded them. It's a straight line. And the consequence of all that? It means you're breaking the law. Introducing misbranded drugs into the market violates the Federal Food, Drug, and Cosmetic Act. Plain and simple. Okay, so let's zoom out. What does this all mean for us? For you and me? Because this case is actually a really powerful lesson for anyone who's just trying to figure out what's what in the Wild West of online health information. All right, let's nail down the key takeaways here. First, the language used to sell a product matters a lot. Saying something can treat or cure a disease can legally turn a supplement into a drug. Second, the FDA requires all drugs to be proven safe and effective before they're sold. There are no shortcuts. And third, just because something is labeled natural doesn't mean it's exempt from the rules, especially when it's making big disease claims. And maybe the biggest takeaway of all, the burden of checking these claims, unfortunately, often falls right on our shoulders, the consumers. So all of this leaves us with a really tough question, especially today. In this age of endless online information, how are we supposed to separate real, solid medical advice from really clever product marketing? It's a tricky line to walk, and it's definitely something to keep in mind the next time you're scrolling through health tips online.